You are watching and listening to Chris and Leicester Till I Die TV on YouTube and your favourite podcasts.
Right, Chris.
Hello, good afternoon, good evening, good day, wherever you are in the world. I hope you're having a good one. It is, of course, not Chris. He's still in the lounge down under. I hope we're keeping him hostage there. I'm only joking. I'm sure they'll give him back to us all in one piece as well. I hope. How is everybody? It is Friday night. It is predictions night. We have had to do a last minute change of co-host with me. Unfortunately, not just last week because there was technical difficulties on my end. We didn't do a show, but Doug is still unfortunately suffering from a cold. But where there's a will or a way, or where there's a vet, there's a Paddy. I have with me, I'm sure you remember his face. He's been on the show before. It is Craig from Up the Cherries in all departments, or as he's wonderfully shortened it to, Utkiad. That's how I pronounce it every time I see it. I think I'm getting an email from a dodgy website, but it is, of course, Paddy, who is joining us to the show. Paddy!
Hello, mate. You all right? How you doing? How you doing?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. The joke keeps running.
Oh, do you know what? You know, somebody once turned around to me and said, UTCIAD, is that a sexually transmitted infection? It does sound like one, to be honest, for anybody who doesn't know.
Very poor choices of abbreviations, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, Paddy, you know, in case people do not know abbreviations and football nicknames, you know, not a quiz connoisseur like me for club badges and sponsors and whatnot, but maybe, you know, Up the Cherries and all departments. You can see it there just in the background. You are, of course, a Bournemouth fan. How are you feeling about your season so far?
Well, I think we should be on more points than we actually are.
Funny enough, that's what we could say.
Yeah. The Forest game, the 1-1, yeah, I can appreciate we didn't have a recognised striker. Solanke had left. Evan Nilsson hadn't, you know, effectively been registered by that time. Not a problem. The Newcastle game, robbed. How they said it was a handball. You know, I don't know. It hit the head of Atara and then brushed. And to be honest, Dan Burns' hand was closer to it. Of course, Everton happened, 2-0 down, and then we beat them 3-2.
Yeah, we didn't follow the guidebook on that one, did we? We didn't.
No, although I was willing you to do so. I was willing you to do so, and I thought
you was, which may have cost a fair few people points at the weekend. A few picked up maximum points, few dreaded the 1-1 and were right to go for it, but a lot of people kept their blue tinted glasses on, and certain people thought Everton were going to go third time's a charm on a 2-0 up and throw it all away. That wasn't the case. What is the case is we do have people in the chat. I'm just going to say a quick hello to a few people. Kyle says, "Hi, Brad." See, no one likes you. That's what it is, Kyle. I don't know what we got you on here for. Just to sell. Craig, there's lots of Craigs in the world, but he says
Yeah,
hi as
see,
well.
it's a popular name, isn't it?
Hey, Brad, 10 minutes. 10 minutes late. Talk about being a Chris fashion late. Hey, do as the boss would do. Hey, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Look, do as the boss would do, as I say. No, look, Craig has saved you all the pain and misery of having just me on the screen. I know you love me for a watch along. I've seen the petition, Chris out, Brad in. I know you love me on the watch along, but on a show like this, it can be painful listening to me for about an hour or so. So Craig's gonna make you wish it was just me on here by talking all the time, aren't you, Craig?
Do you know what? Do you know what? I would love it if Chris did an Idiot Abroad version
Oh,
in
you would
Australia.
definitely be Carl Pilkington, mate.
Oh God, yeah, definitely. Although, well, I don't know. I was a bit Carl Pilkington really when I
You
went
speak
on.
too much to be Steve Merchant, and Chris would take the role of Ricky Gervais for obvious reasons.
Yes,
And
yeah,
leave that up to your own interpretation in the comments. If you know whether you think he's an arse or you're just looking at him appearance wise, is up to you. I didn't say either. I just made the assumption.
he's having a whale of a time over there, though. I am jealous.
Well, I mean,
But
you could ironically say that is an idiot abroad in its own rights, isn't
it
it? Love you,
is, yeah,
Chris. Love you,
yeah, it is.
Chris. I'm
Hello,
going to get
Chris.
such.
How you
He's going
doing,
to get.
mate? He, he he's going to think, oh, for fuck's sake, Brad,
Why did
why
I
did
leave
you
this?
get him on? Well, why did you get him on? And he's going to be
Yeah,
giving you a call afterwards. Don't get Craig back on again until
yeah,
I'm back because he'll
yeah.
talk for fucking England.
Thankfully, or well, I should say sadly. Well, thankfully for me, because I am going away this weekend. But sadly, there is no watch along. So thankfully, we can talk for a while. But as long as we don't, because what me and Chris always used to say is we won't get Craig on sometimes. Because if it's you two, Ollie says, if you're both on with me, we'll still be going before the 10 minutes before the watch along starts. So I mean, he's not wrong. He's not
No,
wrong.
no,
Um,
definitely.
but when the boss is here, you've got to give him some stick because he can't come on here and kick me out.
Well,
Which
exactly. He can't defend himself, so he'll be watching this back, or he might be sat there watching it. Maybe in a kangaroo zoo or something. Kangaroo zoo, they're bloody wild over there. And be watching me and you just talk utter shit for an hour.
I mean, nothing would have changed from if he was here with us. So yeah, I probably is. I'm probably
Exactly.
sure he's
Exactly.
enjoying his holiday too much to care
Yeah.
as well. Uh, Ben says, "Hey Foxes fans, hope everyone is good. It's Friday, mate. I'm doing better. And like I said, unfortunately for you guys, there's no watch along at the weekend because myself and Chris aren't available. And I'm quite happy with that because I've got a horrible feeling. We will get into the games after that, as I nearly upload a different link. Then that would have been weird. John says, "Evening all, howdy, John." So, Craig, we've done enough waffling. Let's
Yeah.
get into the business end of things. It
Go
is
on then.
game week 6.
Mhm.
They're coming thick and fast. Apparently too fast because there's an international break after this. Um,
Stupid, isn't it?
it is. It is. We talked about it briefly backstage whilst I
Who are
was
we
on
even
commercial.
playing? I don't even know who we're playing.
Oh, two teams in this glorified thing they call a bloody the friendly league or whatever it's called, or Nations League.
Fucking Narnia.
Well, might as well be for what it's worth, mate.
Yeah.
See, you have got a fan. You
There
have
we
got a
are.
fan.
Thanks,
Hey,
Ben. See,
yeah,
there's a bit of love
he
there.
was.
Bit of
I mean,
love.
we don't call Craig bottom of the barrel to his face, but he is here nonetheless. So, yeah, no, thanks, Craig. We do appreciate you coming
No,
on.
that's all
And
right, mate. Not a problem at all. Not a
it
problem.
was.
Anytime. I love coming on this show.
I know you do, and the people love you, really, don't you?
Yeah.
Don't you guys? Don't you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
See,
See,
I like Leicester.
I'm
I
gonna give
like
him
Leicester.
I'm going to give him a double entendre here, if that's the right word to use. If you like Craig, like the stream, and if you don't want to see Craig again, like the stream. That way, we'll never know. See, yeah, see, up here for thinking, mate. As the same is. So
Yeah.
if they like you on or not, if they like the stream, we'll know that they like you or
Yeah.
not. Here we go. Anyway, because I'm terrified about talking about our game, so let's talk about a game that's got lots of interest around it, hasn't it? Because
Yes.
it's Newcastle at home to Man City. Now, when the new owners of Newcastle took over, a lot of football fans were very happy for them, in the
Yeah.
sense that Mike Ashley had dragged them down, was just point blank refusing to spend any of his money, was happy and content with promotion, parachute payments from the Championship. Obviously, I know Carl's just on there, but you guys, even if you're in the league or not, get your score predictions in. And play along down below. You won't get anything for if you just play along, but it's just a bit of fun. But back to the task now. Newcastle, they've got Eddie Howe in charge, who is probably most people's top 3 next England manager picks.
Yeah.
He's in the talk. He's always forever going to be in that talking bracket, isn't he, of it?
Hmm.
And I always felt, and fair play to them, they haven't done it as hastily as I thought they would. But I thought, I see what's happening here, because I think he'd come in before the World Cup, hadn't he? And Southgate
Yeah.
was going to a tournament, and I kind of thought this is how the story pans out. He'll he'll keep Newcastle up, which he did brilliantly.
Yep.
To be fair, he'll stabilise them. They'll get bored. He won't do terrible, but he'll do enough for him to go, oh, I'm going to go manage England because Southgate's
Yeah.
sat there. No. And then they'll go and spend silly money bringing in like a Mourinho or somebody like that. However, I do feel now, if you look at their results, they were very, very fortunate against yourselves to come away with anything there. I actually do agree with you. I watched the game. They were awful, and that was never a penalty. They got thumped last week by Fulham 3-1, which was probably up there with one of the surprises of the weekend, if we're being honest with you. And they're taking on a Man City side who, okay, yes, they've lost Rodri for the season, although karma, you were threatening to go on strike. Well, don't worry, mate. You don't need to worry about being tied this season. I do say that tongue in cheek. I'd never want to see anyone's career get ended or have a lengthy timeout. So I on a serious note, do wish him a speedy recovery, but kind of is what it is. This isn't as straightforward as it is, though, is it? Because Newcastle like to give Man City a scare. They've taken points off them over the last few seasons, and Newcastle will want a response, because I just wonder if maybe this is the season where Newcastle falter too much for them to want to stick with him, and he takes the job in December, and then they bring in like Mourinho if it doesn't go well. I'm sure he wants to do well with Newcastle and end it on a high, or stay there even longer. He might not even want to be considered for the England job. Do you see a way that Newcastle cause an upset here?
Yeah, I can't see him getting the 3 points, to be perfectly honest, Brad, but I can see them causing an upset because Eddie is very, very good at managing these games. I completely agree with you, as do a number of people. I spoke to Matt Letizia yesterday. Sorry, name drop.
Hold on. 13 minutes and 30 seconds. I just need to timestamp that. That's how long it took Craig, who told me this backstage, to mention Matt Letizia. There we go.
So Matt Letizia reckons that he should be the next England manager. There is problems at Newcastle since Amanda Staveley and I think I'm going to really butcher his name, but Mehmet Godas have left the club.
Mate.
Yeah, I think since they've left the club, Eddie has lost 2 of his staunchest supporters. Now, the problem is, I think there is some friction between Eddie and Paul Mitchell.
Not Phil Mitchell.
In charge. Not Phil Mitchell, Paul Mitchell. But so there is some conflict there. I think Eddie will continue to do a very, very strong job. I don't think that he'll match what he did, or ever match what he did a couple of seasons ago. Harry Redknapp before, I was absolutely bonkers when I said that, they were going to finish 3rd in the league, after he managed to pull them all clear of relegation.
Sorry, 14 minutes 40 mentioned.
Oh, I forgot. I forgot that. Personally, I think Eddie's got it in him. I think Eddie's got it in him to pull off a surprise, and I think he will do. I just don't think he'll get the 3 points. I think Pep's side are just too strong. Will they win it again? Will they win it a fifth time? I can't see, to be honest. Hand on heart, I can't see them winning it a fifth time this season. But I think Eddie will put up a fight.
So your score prediction is, because that's what I asked you. Believe
Oh,
it or not.
sorry.
This is the prediction show.
It's probably because I've banged on about Paul Mitchell and Eddie Howe having an argument. And all this
you ramble on.
shite.
No, you never do such a thing.
So I am going with Newcastle and Jimmy Nail 1, Manchester City and Noel Gallagher 1.
Don't do this. My laptop frozen in suspense there. My laptop froze on me. I was worried I was going to lose the screen. What did you say?
Newcastle 1, Manchester City 1. And
he's gone for a draw early.
Trying to do musical people there, and I thought, who's from Newcastle and who's from Manchester? Of course, easy. The Gallagher brothers, Oasis. That's fine. Jimmy Nail for Newcastle. There we are.
There
if anybody remembers him, you're probably too young to remember Jimmy Nail.
No, I don't know you're on about, mate. I'll be perfectly honest with you.
Anybody who knows who Jimmy Nail is, put it in the comments.
Yeah, make sure you do, because it'd be interesting to know it. I think Man City are going to have enough to do it. It's just something about me. It's almost like it's getting to a point. Well, I feel like it's been this point for a while, minus that one-off season. And I hate to make the comparison, but it's getting like that now. It's almost like if you was to predict the Scottish Premier League and whether they were playing Rangers or Kilmarnock, you're backing Celtic to win every week. And it's boring. It is boring. I love the Premier League. I love being in the Premier League, but it is not the sport, nor is it the competitiveness of what I grew up on. And I'm only a 90s. Yeah. I'm not talking 80s and 70s, although was 70s and 80s where Liverpool just won it all the time. It's kind of a bit like
Liverpool and Everton had a bit of a control over it. Of course, Forest had a bit of a shout, didn't they, at one point and won 2 European Cups.
But in the 90s, I remember your Villas, your Liverpools, your Newcastles. We're all winning with a shout, at least going into the last 3 or 4 games. I have, however, gone 2-0 Man City because they've got a cheat code in Erling Haaland in the lineup, and Chris has gone 2-1 to Man City. People in the comments have gone. Kyle's gone 2-1 to Man City. I think this is an offensive thing and not a compliment.
James Corden. Hello, Anthony. How you doing, mate? Yeah, he calls me James Corden. I think it's do I look like Smithy? Smithy's a fun guy. Smithy's a fun guy from Gavin and Stacey.
Well, wow. I mean, you can take that however you want. It says, Craig only likes us because Leicester fans are the best. Yeah, he's not wrong. You're not wrong, are you, Ben? Craig's gone 3-0 Man City. John's also gone 2-1 for Man City. Nobody's going here for even you're being generous at here. Ben's gone for a big score, 3-2 to Man City, though. Crocodile shoes.
Yes, crocodile shoes.
Well, John knows it now. John knows what you're on about.
What was the other song?
She's gone 3-1. Question, Brad, where's your beard? It fell off in amazement, mate, when I realised that you were actually still able to predict things. Because something I forgot to show you, everybody. Now we've got the first game out of the way. The next one won't take 45 minutes, and I will get a prediction out of him. Don't worry. Now that a few more of you are in, let me do what I was supposed to do from the start anyway. That is, get rid of this banner. Get rid of this for now. And show you the league table. Show me the money, as they say. Here is the league table as it stands. This is obviously before game week 5. We have a topsy-turvy battle going on at the top. Kate was number 1 on the chart going into game week 5. She then succumbed to one of her worst weeks ever because there wasn't a show. I will tell you this. Kate had 41 points on game week 4. So for those of you that maybe can't do maths and work it out or see it yourselves, she got a whopping 2 points this week to keep things steady and interesting. Lots of shakers, lots of movements, and I don't know. Maybe he's got confused with what the rules are of this competition. Let me get my binoculars out. It seems like the real Chris and the predictions Chris is also down under. Is that a Chris in 24 points, 2 correct results, and 17th? It is, isn't
Yeah,
it?
only Dave's keeping him up. But
Yeah,
the
and
thing
Dave's
is
only gave me 1 week's of predictions.
yeah, so he's disqualified. So Chris, wooden. Oh, actually, that probably works better that way. Wooden spoon. To be honest,
Wooden
this is a
spoon,
candle
indeed.
vanilla. But yeah,
But after the weighing down anchors of Chris and I said anchors there, just in case anyone wants to say I said anything different, of Chris and Dave, who is probably doing his best Davy Jones at the bottom of the ocean. It is very, very tight. That's what he said. From 16th all the way up to 5th. You know, some of these people have chopped and changed positions very close to each other. In between, and you know, in the championship one, we was a little bit, you know, there was a bit of a bridge of the gap. I'm not saying anything, but a certain champion of the championship is struggling down in 12th. Douglas, not having the greatest time in the Premier League. And okay, it's early doors, but Chris made the stick and it backfired on him. So I'm going to try and use the same psychology as it was the last time in the Premiership. You're 2-time Premier League champion. Yes, that's it. You're 2-time Premier League champion. Granted, I was only taking on Chris and Steve Lynex, but still, you can only beat what's in front of you. Is sat in 8th, but I'm on the hunt. I'm on the hunt for it. So there you go, guys.
hang on, who's that just above you?
Oh, I don't know, mate. No, we don't know him.
I haven't
He's
heard of
just
him.
a boy character. No, to be fair to you, Paddy, you are a point ahead of me. And in case any of you are wondering, okay, so what's the number on the left mean? That's if you get a correct result, you get 3 points. If you get so as for last week, should I say, I predicted Liverpool to win 3-0, and I predicted the 1-1 draw against Ipswich. So I got 6 points from them games collectively. And they are essentially your goal difference. So if me and you get level on points, mate, as things stand, and neither of us get any correct result, I will overtake you on the goal difference side of things.
Oh, come on,
No,
Brad.
we had to have something though, mate, because there was prizes
No,
last
sorry.
year. We had to do it because there was prizes last year. I know Chris said we're not going to do prizes this year. I might be a secret Santa and sort some prizes out for a winner just to stir the pot, give you a little bit more incentive. Anyway, back to the action. Now, this is a Leicester channel, so if anyone still hasn't got the memo and actually thinks I'm going to talk about Arsenal Leicester when there's Leicester fans in the channel, no, and you're all going to just shoo off and go away afterwards, then I'm sorry to disappoint. I'm going to keep you waiting. We're going to jump over that hurdle. We're going to go to Brentford West Ham. Now, our manager has unsurprisingly given results on the field, been the first name in the hat to get the sack. However, I would say probably favourite for the panic button being pressed, Lopetegui. Not going according to plan at West Ham. Beaten in the cup, beaten in the league, down there at the bottom. Struggling is an understatement, to say the least. Can they get anything from Brentford, who have been unlucky at times and have done reasonably well?
It's an interesting one, actually, this game, because to be honest, when Iriola took over here at first, because he is a Basque manager, we had a manager in Gary O'Neill who was very, very similar to David Moyes. The football wasn't attractive. It wasn't, free flowing. It got results, though. The thing is it took Iriola quite some time to actually adjust his players and the team to that. And I think maybe Lopetegui coming from the same position is quite similar. When he took over at Wolves, they already played a sort of style. So
I can tell you this now, as my dad is a Wolves fan, he said these exact words every time West Ham play. I like West Ham, but whilst he's their manager, I hope they get stuffed every week. To the point
yeah,
that before Wolves played their game against Villa at the weekend, he had the West Ham game on, a legitimate streaming service, obviously. It wasn't anything dodgy at all. And I heard the words "good in" about 2 or 3 times as West Ham got beat at the weekend. So he's definitely not picking sides. Wolves fans aren't too happy
no, I
with what
can
they're seeing
imagine.
from him. But where do you see this one going, mate?
Um, I agree with you. Brentford have been slightly unlucky. I think they've still got quite a decent side, even though Tony's gone. Well, let's be honest. Tony sulked last season. He wasn't. When he come down here, he didn't give 110% for his club. So it's probably better that he's gone. But I think West Ham are going to, at some point, break this duck and improve. So I have gone with Brentford nil, West Ham 1.
Oh, the duck is breaking. It's
Yeah,
going
I
all
think.
clatters.
Yeah, I do think it. The problem is it's be careful what you wish for West Ham fans, because David Moyes did a good job. Yeah, it wasn't attractive football. It did look shite at times, but he got results. Um, I did say when I went on the tap in, some time ago, I did turn around to him and said, I think he could have been getting more out of the players than
Yeah,
he did.
yeah,
But
definitely.
I think Lopetegui could get tons more out of that squad of players. You've got such quality in there that he's brought in.
Yeah,
They
he
shouldn't be where
has.
they are.
And what you want to do with that talent is you've got to let it settle and you've got to let the manager
Yeah.
work there. I thought they might go sort of the opposite to what tends to happen, where they kind of have a burst of
Mm,
form and
yeah.
then you realise, okay, they've ridden the wave to impress the boss, but they're still not really balanced. Like maybe like a sneaky 1-0 win, not really doing much, and
Hmm.
they've kind of gone really well. Having said that, I can't separate the two teams. I've gone for a 1-1 draw.
Mm,
And Chris has actually joined you. He's gone for a West Ham 2-0 win. However, to be fair to Chris, he had to give me 4 sets of predictions in advance, and it's a lot easier for us to predict it
yeah. Very true.
because we know what's going on. The
Yeah.
Footy Network. Ask him where Chris is. I am offended. Well, am I not good enough for your
Yeah. Where
entertainment
it where,
values?
where is Chris?
He's in Australia, mate. He's having a nice, relaxing month off, enjoying retirement in Australia. He's coming back, though. Don't worry. They're not keeping him there. In fact, they're trying to rush him out now, but he refuses to
Mm.
leave. It's like the Australian Benidorm over there.
He'll be on
Um,
banged up abroad next.
yeah, we see him on that what was it called, customs control or whatever it is when they go for the
Yeah.
airport. It's him
Yeah.
on there trying to smuggle back some fruits, and we're not talking about some of the people out there.
Yeah. Trying
uh,
to
so
smuggle back some Castle Made. Is that cider? I think
It
I,
might be knowing him.
yeah.
Knowing him. He's still trying to get the show sponsored by it. It hasn't worked so far.
Yeah.
Carl says, "Don't get relegated, Chris." Thankfully for him, I said I will never do more than just one league, so we won't have a championship and a Premier League one. He can't get relegated. John, you're not actually doing that painful, mate. It was more pain for me, and a chance to, while the boss is away, just jive it in there, and he's defenseless against it. Anthony says, you can win a packet of Smarties from Brad. You're all right, mate. Cheers, mate. Tell you what now, if you do somehow win it, mate, I'm purposely going to send you a packet of Smarties. Ben has gone for a Desmond. He's gone for a 2-2. Anthony, well, he likes a team that plays in red or the majority red or half red. So no surprise he's gone for a Brentford win there. John's probably wished he could change his prediction, though, because he's gone 2-1 Brentford as well. Oh, Craig, not the Craig. The Craig in chat has gone West Ham 4. Well, he's gone for West Ham to get beat 4-0.
Oh, they'd be
Uh,
going mental.
yeah. Australia 96 for 6, mate. Yes, I have got it on down below watching. I mean, that would be funny of Australia after going 2-0 up to lose this one. They need a hell of a score. England really impressive to get 313 or 39 overs, considering they beat Australia with, I believe, a lower total in 50 overs. Although that was rain affected. But anyway, what time is it now for Chris for him to wake up? Lucky devil. I don't actually know. I think they're 12 hours ahead, so it's probably night time. It's probably early hours of the morning for him.
Shall I
He
give him
might.
a call and just wake
No,
him up?
don't you dare.
It'll be
Don't.
bloody funny.
His channel will get closed down for the amount of expletives you'd hear. You wake him up. All the control is the name of the show, but I knew it was something like that. I knew it was
Yeah.
something like that. Thank you very much, Ben. Anyway, let's get control of this show. Yeah, see what I did there? It's the Potter Derby. It's Judah Snakeface versus Brighton, Chelsea versus Brighton. I have to admit, Brighton, fair play. So far, so good for them. I thought their manager was one of them fashionable statements and it was potentially going to blow up in the face. And he kind of Frank de Boer at Crystal Palace in that sense. So not that he's a big name or anything, but like an outside the box pick. Everybody's backing him to do really well, and I thought he'd struggle in, and that's when it'd all unravel. It hasn't. He's doing quite well with Brighton. And then the feeding of the 5,000 at Chelsea, who, to be fair, they've seemed to have found their feet a little bit. Unfortunately, their bad run didn't continue as well as it had. Although, said that about Man United a few times, and they then return back to normal order, don't they? So who knows?
I don't think they were very good against us. I think we controlled that game. We controlled that game, and it was only our inability to not be able to score because Evan Nilsson just seems to be devoid of confidence. Why we didn't win? If we had Solanke on that pitch, would
You
have
still wouldn't have
thrashed.
won. No, you wouldn't. I've seen it. I've seen him shoot for Tottenham. He can't shoot for Toffee.
Oh,
He's
mate,
not
honestly,
blind.
in this
He's not.
side, he was brilliant.
I'm not going to use the expression that other people would. I think he found his level with Bournemouth in the sense that the step up to in the sense that stepping up to the European
Yeah.
expectations, it's not easy to do. I'm sure he will score for Tottenham, but they already have Richarlison score 1 goal a season, so he's got to step it up to at least 2 goals a season, doesn't he? Because I just don't know, because I know he had okay figures for you, and I'm assistant goals, was pretty decent, but I don't know. I just think I think you should be laughing all the way to the bank with it, and he's easily replaceable. He only had last season, and that was a killer season for him, where he really, breached through the glass ceiling, if you will, to what he usually does. So I don't think you'll miss him too much in terms. But on the Chelsea outcome, Chris has gone 1-0 Brighton. Again, obviously, Chris made these predictions when Chelsea were terrible, but still plausible. Still plausible with Brighton. I've gone for a Chelsea 2-0 win. What is your prediction, sir?
I've gone with a Chelsea 1-0 win. I think Brighton are a good side. I just think that Chelsea have been buoyed by that result at Dean Court. I think, they were second best in that game. And I think, that we just we did everything but score. And I think...
And as Michael Owen once said, you need goals to win games.
Exactly. And I think, personally, I think Chelsea are on a little bit of a roll now. Enzo Maresca has surprised me because, of course, he famously nearly threw the promotion away with yourselves.
He did his best to do a job.
Yeah, so I was surprised when he went there because of that. But I think he's done all right so far. I think the proof of the pudding is when he starts getting injuries and has to make changes. How is he going to cope? That's where it might echo what happened towards the end of last season for you guys. So, yeah, I'm going to go with a Chelsea 1-0 win over Brighton. It's going to be slender. It's going to be tight. as will the West Ham game, really. But yeah, I think Chelsea will just sneak it, probably in Cuckoo again, and he'll probably do that balloon celebration because he seems obsessed with that.
Yeah, so it's footballers these days with their celebrations.
Yeah.
Craig's gone 2-2 draw. John's gone for a tight 2-1 win to Chelsea. Well, Anthony's agreed with me, so I'm flipping, aren't I? Anthony, by the way, Anthony, just so you know, I've starred your question because I'll ask him that at the I'll ask him that at the end. It is a question for you, Craig. I'll ask him that at the end because we're talking about these games as it is, and if I ask Paddy this question, we won't be getting off air until about 4 o'clock in the morning. So I will save it for the end, so he knows he's because I'm hoping for him to tell me I've got 5% on my laptop, so he's only got until that dies to talk about it.
Oh no,
John's
no,
going,
no, no! I've got a wire here. Don't you worry.
ah,
I can plug it in. I
God's
can plug it
sake.
in. There's no
Uh,
panics. There's no panics.
John's gone to on Chelsea. Um, no, I'm not. I'm not. Although I'm going to do a Chris. You know, I was 10 minutes late, like the boss, so why not do it? Sponsored by Carlsberg. You know, we could do that. Not all YouTube channels. If Carlsberg did YouTube channels,
And at
that's
that
all I'm
point,
saying on that one.
everything freezes. It did freeze there for a
Well, yeah,
moment,
apparently
unless that
so.
was my internet connection.
I don't know. Well, it seemed to freeze for everybody because I will be honest with you. It seemed to freeze for everybody because the view account went do happy then. It didn't know what it was doing. Ben's gone 3-2 to Chelsea. And that's everybody's predictions in. Moving swiftly forward, I'm not going to lie. With the battle we're in this season, there ain't a cat in hell's chance I'm going for the home team in this one. If you can't guess from that, Anthony confirmed it did freeze. I thought that because the count, you know what it's like. You see it and then it either drops and disappears and then came
Just
back.
at the punchline as well.
I
Just at the
know, right?
punchline.
It's like they didn't want it. So yeah, if Carlsberg did YouTube channels, they would sponsor this one. Just saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Just put it out there again. But yeah, there's not a cat in hell's chance I'm going to do this one. I did go on a Everton podcast and discuss this game. Obviously, I did the pre-show with them. I did the one afterwards, and I will be honest with you. I was terrified for about 55 minutes of our game because I felt like we was going to be docked to Leicester. We managed to salvage a draw from the game, and in fairness, okay, from the minute we scored yet again, like when we played Tottenham,
Mhm.
like when we got the goal back against Villa when it was 2-0 to Villa at that point, we were all over Everton and could have nicked the win. That's I'm not
Yeah.
gonna lie. I know that sounds blue tinted, but if you went back and got the live game of it and watched, and I've said this about Cooper and I've said this about our performances, you go and watch the second half of Tottenham game and tell me who's going to go on to win that game or deserves to win that game. You go and watch the Villa game after Villa scored a second goal and Leicester scoring pretty much immediately from that, and then tell me if they're going to get a point from it. That's the sort of performances we had. I mean, when you've got a Champions League side, and they are Villa, and you've got a very good manager in Emre taking off a substitute to put on a defensive substitute because he was clearly worried we would get a late equaliser. That tells you what the potential this side has if they're on the front foot.
Mhm.
Having said that, we know who we've got this weekend, and I need teams below us to drop as many points as possible and gain absolutely nothing. Everton are at home to Palace. I want them to have false hope from their 1 point against us, go out there thinking they're going to turn Palace over. I've gone for a 2-0 win to Palace. I'm not going to waste any time. Chris has gone 2-1 to Palace. He's in the same boat as me. Craig, you're probably not in the trouble that we are at the moment down there at the
Yeah.
bottom, but we have said this a few times. Is this a season where we're all kind of saying, Everton, come on, mate, you've had too much to drink. It's time to go and spend a year in a championship. You know,
They are shite. They are shite. And to be honest, when we played them, it was absolutely embarrassing. It was absolutely embarrassing for 87 minutes. The fact that we scored 3 goals in the space of 8 minutes, Brad, shows how shit they are. They
Well,
are
I mean,
rubbish. They're
yeah,
toilet. They're toilet. The problem is that they do have a few decent options going forwards,
yeah.
and I honestly, hand on heart, I think they'll probably pull themselves clear of relegation again. I think at this moment in time, it's not looking like it. Um, Palace, I think they're quite a decent side. I think they're quite a decent side. You know, Erebesieze, I always said he couldn't really play without Lise. He's shown all right. You know, he's done all right this season. So I'm in the same boat as Chris, and I've gone with a 2-1 Palace win over Everton.
Oh,
But
2-1
Everton they're just shit. They are shit, aren't they? Let's be perfectly honest.
I mean, they are, and I didn't get the chance to really point this out on the preview because it was a pre-record. It was only a short one.
Yeah,
It's not, which was I still loved it. Go on my Twitter at Full Time Focus. I retweeted it out there. It's a brilliant podcast. Great show to have been on. But I call it relegation hands, and what I mean by that is when we scored, Sean Dyche went from this to trying to do
yeah.
too much. He got the manager panic of, oh my god, let's please, for God's sake, do not do this again to me. Because I think, you know what I mean. Yes, I have, Anthony. I'm not having you say that and me not have the badge on show.
I tell
I
you
think
the
this
one
should,
thing.
I think this should have given it away, Anthony. Yeah, the respect, the UEFA badge. You know, this, mate.
I tell you the one thing with Everton as well. They are in between a rock and a hard place this season,
Mm,
and the reason being is they sacked Dyche. They bring in a manager who, you know, and there's been Sari was mentioned, wasn't he, earlier on today? And I don't know how truthful it is. It could be absolutely bullshit. But to be perfectly honest, Sari coming in, he would have to adjust again the whole mentality of that squad.
mm.
That squad are very good at playing dice ball. And the only reason why they might get out of this is because they're good at playing dice ball. What I would say to Everton fans is that they might have to suck it up until the end of the season and then replace him when they've got A, some money to replace him with better players, and B, you know, when they've got a whole transfer window. Because I think whoever comes in there now, it's going to be like Burnley all over again. You know, when Burnley sacked Sean Dyche, I just can't see if they sack him. I think they could effectively put a nail in their coffin. So they're in between a rock and a hard place. Um,
They are. They definitely are. And it's one of them, isn't it, as well, where you just don't know how it's going to go because the investments come in, the takeovers officially happened. Do you stick with him now and trust? Because if you don't, if you stick with him, you then
yeah,
trust him with the January transfer window, you know, to fix it. Unless it goes so horribly wrong that you need to make a sacking and do all that, then you've then got a squad that don't know where they stand because it's a new manager in charge.
mm,
Um, but for me, as long as they finish below us, I don't ultimately don't care.
yeah,
Everton 1, Palace 1, says John. He's seen them pick up a point. Craig has gone for a 2-1 win. It's the Craig show tonight. They're both going.
no.
Yeah, near enough there, mate. It must have flagged up like that. It was so weird. It's so weird when it does that. He's gone for a 1-1 draw as well. Ben's gone 3-1 to Palace. Thank the Lord, Ben. I thought that was Everton there. Yeah, I did see your comment. I've read it. Is Brad going to be in the Christmas quiz? No. Short answer, no. Short answer,
Oh,
just no.
I'll take
Because
part.
yeah, you would take part, and that's why I'm not doing it. Because by the time
Yeah,
Chris finishes, yeah, by the time you answer question one, it'll be time to go to bed, and I
yeah,
can't stay up that late these
fair
days.
enough. Fair enough.
I won't always bring up how long it takes. Now then, we go from one annoying shite team to another one. Nottingham Forest at home to Fulham. two surprise packages early doors, Craig.
Mm.
Forest are riding the momentum. Nuno Santos has got them playing well. It's amazing what happens when the players actually think the manager's first choice and not 78th choice like he was at Tottenham. Proving that the wilderness in the Saudi League has done nothing to his ability to manage in the Premier League. And Fulham, who we talked about earlier, beat Newcastle. They obviously beat us at Craven Cottage. They are getting some good results. They are already being talked about as like the Brighton of this season's, aren't they? The potential sneaking in on Europe. I have done a Steve Linex. I've done an anti-Steve Linex here. Should I say? I Now, please, guys, please, before I confess something horrible here, please like the stream, please, because I'm about to upset a lot of you here, and this will just make me feel a little bit better in my understanding. It would just be typical of Fulham after the impressive result they've got away at Forest, which is a difficult place to go. They get the crowd right behind them. It's very cagey there. It would just be typical of Fulham to go and beat Newcastle and then lose to Forest. And I've gone 2-1 Nottingham Forest.
Well,
Chris has gone 0-0, but I've gone 2-1 to Forest.
Well, I'm going to cheer everybody else up because I do think, I got to agree. I think Fulham look a very, very good side this year. I don't think, getting beat by them, Brad, was anything to be embarrassed about this season. And I think that they are going to replicate what they did to Newcastle. And I think that they're going to come away from the City ground with a 3-0 win. I think
I
they're a
much
very
prefer
good
you to
side.
myself.
Yeah, I think they're a very good side. So yeah, Forest, I think will succumb to a 3-0 defeat. And I'll be perfectly honest, I think Forest will drop off. I think Forest will drop off. Are they going to
You
be in
do you?
relegation? Well, I predicted them to go down.
Oh,
And yeah, personally, I do question that. But then again, I predicted Everton to stay up this year, and I'm wondering if those two might swap. So yeah, might finally get rid of Everton, but Nottingham Forest will still be around. It's like, do you want gonorrhea or syphilis, really, isn't it?
wow. Yeah, that's true. And Ben, this is blasphemy. Blasphemy by Ben here. He says, Brad, what the hell are you, a secret Forest fan? No, I just annoyingly think that Fulham will do Fulham things, and it's definitely not because last year they cost me 300 quid out of a last man standing contest. That I hold it against them, because I remember it went down to me and this other guy in it, and he'd backed Villa when they drew with Sheffield United, and Fulham had Burnley after a big win. And I believe it was the week before they played someone like Tottenham or Newcastle and beat them. So I was going, Burnley are going to get smashed. Burnley won. So yeah, it's got nothing to do with that. I don't remember things like that. I'm not salty. Your counterpart here says, the Craig Show on fire tonight. Like and share all. Yes, guys, please do like and give the stream a share. I know you said something else then, so it's a good job I paused on my sentence. Ben's gone, just because we hate Forest, 2-1 Fulham win. I'm starting to regret my choices now. John's gone 2-1 Fulham. 2-2 says Anthony. He's gone for a Desmond. Fulham 2-1 says Craig. And then, what a comparison, Craig, says John. Yes, very, very good comparison.
It's just a question which one's which, really, isn't it?
I know,
But it
right?
doesn't
I
really
know.
matter. To be fair, they're both bad. Um,
Wow, yeah. Well, now we go to two teams that are complete opposite in terms of, well, league form, confidence, and any which way possible you could think they could be opposite. Wolverhampton Wanderers at home to Liverpool. Your ex-manager, Gary O'Neill, who I still think was harshly thrown out the
yeah,
door. I know it probably is seemingly proven that, you know, it's more luck than judgment with him. I don't know. You know him better than I do, being as he was your manager for a while.
Yeah.
It's not going well at Wolves is an understatement. Now, I know they've had some tough fixtures, but if you're looking for early signs to be worried about relegation, and I know, 10 to 15 when you start to worry or have a better feeling about your team. Big up, Shay. Just seeing you popping in there. How you doing, mate? Hope you are well. But Everton throwing away 2-0 leads. That's a big sign for them. Yes, they got a point against us, but it's still a long way off anything being settled there. By the way they went about it when we scored, you can see the fear in their eyes to just desperately hold on to it with how it's going. Wolves for me, yes, hard games. Not gonna lie, playing Villa, playing Chelsea, playing teams like that early doors, kind of get them out of the way. I get that it's not easy to pick up points, but the biggest thing that worries me is they were winning against Villa and then they capitulated.
Yeah.
They pulled it back to 2-2 against Chelsea. They capitulated. You can lose both them games. You can. You go down swinging. It's fine. They're a good side. Wolves would probably say they're a mid-table or expecting to be mid-table side with the squad they've got because they've got a decent squad on paper. They really do. But it's the capitulations for me. Because the Chelsea game looked like Wolves went home, had the dinner, and went, "Oh, what do you mean we lost 6-2? It was 2-2, wasn't it?" Like they completely forgot the second half and
Yeah.
needed to be played. And again, Villa with a little bit of understanding, I suppose, but throwing that the way they did, that's worrying signs for me. I'm gonna just rip the band-aid off here now. Me and Chris, we always do this at least once somehow, even though we don't know each other's predictions, because I do mine lastminute.com and Chris has obviously sent me mine or he's on the show with me. We've both gone 3-0 Liverpool. Because if it works for you once and gets you 3 points in one game week prediction, it's surely going to get you another one. Is there any hope for Wolves in this game, Craig? And should Wolves be panicking and wanting O'Neill out? So two questions. Give me your prediction, and then tell Wolves fans if they should be wanting Gary O'Neill out or to stick with him.
I've gone for and I'm sorry, Wolves fans, Wolves 0, Liverpool 4. Now, should they want Gary O'Neill out? No, most definitely not. I think Gary O'Neill has done an excellent job at Wolverhampton Wanderers. Their biggest problem is the chap in charge, Jeff Shee, as has effectively throttled them financially. They haven't spent as much as they probably would have liked to. They're sailing quite close to the wind anyway, from what's understood. So no, they shouldn't sack Gary O'Neill. However, I think their biggest problem and why they should be worried is because they have no strength in depth. And last season, even and considering the players that they had last season, we went up to Molineux and we beat them quite convincingly. And why did we beat them quite convincingly? Earlier on in the season, they beat us at Dean Court. Yeah, all right, it was a massive error at the back. It was when Iriola was really getting to know his team. But if they have injuries, they have problems, they need to make substitutions because of fatigue. They have not got the ability of it. And wow, there we are. To be honest, it could even be more than 4-0. If that's the case, I think Wolves are going to be having to look at, well, they need to look over their shoulder all season long because this is going to be a difficult season for them. It's not on Gary O'Neill's ability. Jeff Shee is the man who is ultimately responsible, the chairman, and personally, I think they'll probably go down, unfortunately for them.
Well, there you have. You heard it from Craig himself, and my dad being a Wolves fan, he has said about the ownership. He did say in Lopetegui's defence, even though he doesn't like him much for the way he left the club, he was given a promise And Lopetegui's not a man to have a promise broken on him. If you lie to him or he feels lying, he's been lied to, he's going to leave. So it does seem a bit of an ominous thing, and it almost feels like not so much like Everton, but it has felt like Wolves have had so many dodgy bad starts the last few seasons. Like that trapdoor's kind of going. You could just fall straight through. You might not get a Sean Dyche that comes and saves you. And
I think it
I'm
will.
John, just confirm for me here. Is this an actual virus going through the team, or are you just being very unkind and calling Gary O'Neill a virus? We need to know for context reasons.
I think he's a great manager. I think
I
Gary
do.
O'Neill is a great manager, but the problem is the quality of the backup players. It's all well and good. Like they had last season. You have Pedro Neto. You have all these players,
Mm,
and you think, right, okay, they've got a decent squad on paper. As soon as Neto gets injured, who replaces him? Oh, hang on, we haven't really got
mm.
the quality there.
I think that,
That's the biggest problem for Wolves, and that is why I think they'll probably end up getting relegated.
yeah.
It's horrible to say, but that is ultimately it's not going to be Gary's fault. It
No.
is the chairman. It's the chairman's fault.
Yeah, and I think Leicester fans would agree with me here. Yes, the issue was Brendan as well, but we had the same sort of problem. There was a little bit deceptiveness. Maybe we weren't, in terms of, I think the board thought everything was going to be okay, then realised someone went, actually, we might be in a heap of trouble here. We can't make these promises that we can't stick to the promises we've made. But ultimately, one of the biggest problems we had, we couldn't. Tillemans, Madison, and whilst he was fantastic, we know, especially even this season, it's yet to happen, but it's probably going to happen because it seems to just happen once a season with him. Vardy, players like that, we couldn't replace. Like
Yeah,
we had a Samare, we had players that we could put on which were okay, but the level drop you got from not having a Madison, Tillemans was more hot and cold than a Three Bears porridge,
yeah,
to be honest with you. But in terms of quality on the pitch and knowing what they could do if their heads were screwed on, we lost that, and you did have a few players in there that just knew they weren't going to get dropped regardless of what happened. So this is a bit of an ominous one for Wolves, and they really need to either dig in deep and get to January and still have a chance to bring someone in and turn the season around. Otherwise, I fear for them. John fears for them as well. He's gone 3-1 Liverpool. I don't think anybody's gone against it here. 2-0 to Liverpool, says Ben. Liverpool 2-0. So no one's gone as high as you so far. Know that from John. Liverpool 2-0. And like Craig's already said it for me. Ben, sorry, has already said it for me. Craig is blaming their CEO and we're blaming Rudkin and Whelan. Yeah, I tripped up the stairs at work today and I blame Rudkin for it. It was his fault. He built the stairs. He was there. A team. Now, you said obviously at the end there, Wolves, you don't like to say it, it's horrible to say, but Wolves are, at the moment are looking like going down. I
Mhm.
feel like the next team that we're going to talk about, I don't want to see relegated, but I feel they're going to do a Luton. And I'm, of course, talking about
Mhm.
Ipswich Town.
Yeah,
Ipswich Town obviously got a 95th minute equaliser against Southampton, and I think they're going to have some results to remember this season by. But if ever, and again, they've got 3 points. They've got same amount on the board that we've managed. So they're doing enough so far to be in with the shout. I just think there's I respect McKenna and admire what he's done, and I think that's a proper way to do things. Because these players have, the majority of them, have helped them get not just out the championship, but some of the lads he's still got there got them from League One to the championship.
yeah,
I would love to see Ipswich stay up. However, at this moment in time, the way things are, we need, like I said, we need 3 teams to be worse than us this season so far. And I think we need Ipswich to be one of them because for me, and we're going to talk about them in a couple of games' time. Your opponent, Southampton, I'm already banking on them going that way.
yeah.
So So we're looking for potentially Everton to stay bad and then Ipswich there. And I think that might just be how we survive this season. I'm afraid to say, the way it's going at the moment. I think Ipswich will find goals. I think they'll be entertaining, and I think they'll worry a few sides here and there. Definitely get some memorable results. They're at home to Villa, but I don't look past a Villa anything other than a Villa win. I nearly went 4-0, but I have gave Ipswich at least a goal. And I think Ipswich fans will be expecting this a lot this season, to have their teams predicted to lose or draw. I don't think you'll see many win predictions for them, because on paper they're proven not to be right now with Southampton, but on paper they had the weaker of the three teams that came up. Obviously Southampton and us respectfully. I've gone 4-1 to Aston Villa. Chris has gone 3-1 to Aston Villa. Where do you see Ipswich still being able to do anything in this game, or is this just by the book? Certainty, if that's the case.
I think that they're going to really put up a fight this season. I think they have got quality. They have got quality. Don't get me wrong. Have they got the required quality? I don't think so at this moment in time. But they've got a very good manager in Kieran McKenna, and I think that might actually keep them safe. I'll tell you at the end if you want to know who my 3 to go down will be. But I personally think this game is going to be too difficult for them. And I have gone with Ipswich 1, Aston Villa 2. So I don't think, they're going to embarrass themselves. I think they're going to put up a fight, but I think Villa will have just too much.
Yeah, and I think that could be, for me, that's what the undoing will be.
Yeah.
We will do that quickly at the end. We will do that at the end for a bit of entertainment value, and I'll give you my bottom 3. I know you maybe should be able to guess mine by now. It's Man United, Chelsea, and Forest.
What about if Man City get all these 116 charges?
They're not going to, though, mate. I'll tell you exactly what will happen, and this is how I imagine the conversations going. In like, imagine a cartoon anime world where this isn't how it actually goes, but this is what you're imagining is being said. They're going, let Arsenal or Liverpool or someone win it this season. We'll dock you 30 points, so we look like we're stamping our authority on it, and then you can go and win it next year.
Yeah.
Because what will you say? Wouldn't what would happen if Arsenal won the league this year, but Man City had docked 30 points? You'd always turn around and go, yeah, you won the league, but you won it when Man City got docked 30 points, so it doesn't mean anything. And that'd just be cliche. That'd just be the way it goes in football world. I mean, John's agreed with you. He obviously thinks Ipswich have got something about them. He's gone for a 2-1 Villa win. Anthony has annoyingly agreed with me and gone for a 4-1 Villa win. And Craig has not given Ipswich any goals. He's gone for a 3-0 win. Now then, we've got 10 eggs in a basket. I mean, Ten Hag as a manager at Manchester United. Against I win everything in my second season syndrome Spurs. Neither team have got going yet.
No.
Neither, Manchester United have been struggling in all competitions. If I'm being honest with you, they've got some giant Midlands team that has won a Premier League before they have in recent history in the Carabao Cup. So they're probably not going to continue in that competition either. So, I mean, it's Man United, Spurs. This one usually, though, is a bit of a freak show for goals, isn't it? We've had some 6-2s. We've had some high-scoring games. I mean, I've done a Chris and gone for a Desmond, which is ironic because he's not. He's gone 1-0 Tottenham. But where do you see this going?
Do you know what? For that sole reason, I've gone with a 1-1 draw. I personally think neither side have got going. I just don't think, United, I just don't rate them. I don't rate Eric Ten Hag.
I don't think Eric Ten Hag rates Eric Ten Hag.
No, I don't think he does, to be honest.
What sort of manager, right, has redemption mark in his name He's got Rashford scoring goals for fun and then drops him.
He's honestly, I think his time at Manchester United is very, very limited.
Well,
Um,
all I'm going to say is I don't know if you've seen this article. And sorry for interrupting you, Craig. I'll let you have your speech in a minute. I saw a post on, I think it was Twitter, maybe Facebook. Don't know how reliable it was, can't remember the source. But you know your time's limited or under pressure when Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is being asked the question, would you go back to Manchester United? And he said, I don't want to comment on the situation, but obviously I would go back. Uh,
yeah,
I'm just putting it out there.
yeah. I think personally, I can't see Man United doing anything. They might win. They were very jammy last season, winning the FA Cup. To be perfectly honest,
Yeah,
I think they, whereas Tottenham Hotspur can't win anything whatsoever. They try, if you imagine, in
can't win them
fact,
Hotspur. That's what's
yeah,
so good.
in fact, I did see a listing on Facebook the other day, and it was for a cabinet, and nothing had been nothing. It said it's never been used, never been used. This cabinet, I thought, oh, this looks quite nice, and then I looked at the seller, and it's Tottenham Hotspur. I'm not surprised. It's quite an old one, antique as well. But yeah, nothing's been put in there. So yeah, to be honest, joking aside, um, I just think these two are going to do absolutely next to nothing. Yes, they'll lurk around the top six like a big stink, but neither of them will actually contest anything really. I don't think Man United will be able to replicate their FA Cup triumph. Spurs will just be Spursy and just annoy all their fans, for comedic value, and threaten to do something at one point and then just fall apart. So yeah, I'm going for a 1-1.
Oh, yeah, but and you know what? You're not the only one. Anthony has gone 1-1. John's joined me with a 2-2. And so has your compadre in the chat. He's also gone 2-2.
I'm
I just
surprised,
answered.
Anthony. I'm surprised in Anthony. I thought he would go for a Man United win, but then again, I'm just thinking as an Arsenal fan, he probably hates them as just as much.
Yeah, they're probably the only team in red that he doesn't actually care to support. Anthony's questions to James Gordon. He said, "Who's the better host, Chris or Brad?" We all know it's me. The check's in the post. Don't say any other
Yeah,
answer.
yeah, exactly. Chris every
No.
now and again buys me a pint at the pub.
Oh well,
Um,
I suppose I'll lose out on that one, don't I?
I tell you what, I did go to Cornwall recently, and I don't know if because we was talking about cider at one point, and they've got something called rattlesnake down there.
No,
Now,
Rattler.
Rattler,
Rattler.
that's it, Rattler. Have you
Yeah,
ever tried it?
yeah, it's lovely.
Do you think so? I thought it tastes like piss water. Not that I've ever
No,
tried that. I,
I
you know,
mean to be honest with
everybody
you,
was
I
raving
I
about it
prefer
down
the
there.
I prefer the. I mean, the Cornish do have a unique taste. I
Yeah.
mean, you get your pale ales down there quite a lot, like your
Oh,
dark.
they're amazing. The
Yeah,
pale
they
ale.
are, but you know they're very unique with their taste buds down there.
Yeah.
So, but I'm like I like the edge taken off a cider. I don't like a normal cider. I'm one of them. I'm impartial to like a dark fruit cider or something like that. And some of the dark
Yes.
fruit rattlers are very very nice. Um, and
I did try that.
I'm always going to be biased towards Cornwall. I've got family that live down there, and I get to go down there at least once a year, which is fantastic. So
It's a
yes,
nice place.
I'm
Nice place. Where did we
cheers.
go on to that? I don't even know.
I
You know
don't
what?
know. You're going to
Don't
have
know.
me speaking Cornish, my lover. That's what you'll have me
Yeah.
doing. There you go. That was awful. Now then, if anyone thought, why the fucking hell has he got this chatterbox on? This is what we've got him on for. It is the friendliest derby in the Premier League. As I saw you talk about this on your channel,
Yes, I
question
did.
mark, is this the
Red
friendliest
Chamberlain.
derby ever? You are at home. It is, of course, Bournemouth versus Southampton. I'm not gonna intrude. You love to speak, Craig. I desperately need to go take a toilet break. Have the wheel. Tell everybody why this is the friendliest derby going.
So the reason why this is the friendliest derby is because if you look back at the history, of the two clubs. We go back to the Winter Gardens. Southampton fans have always been quite close to us. During the Winter Gardens, when I spoke to you know, Matt Letizia the other day, I did speak about this, and we was talking, about when people were fans of Southampton were putting money in the buckets and things like that. So it's a very, very friendly derby. It's not the rivalry really is between Southampton and Portsmouth. We haven't really got any rivals, to be perfectly honest. You know, Cherries fans don't particularly like Reading. They don't particularly like Watford, but Southampton, it's all good, light-hearted banter. Um, if that will change, who knows? As we, get bigger, we've got a training ground that is being built, Category One academy. Hopefully, that might put us more on their roadmap. Bigger stadium, but to be honest, we get on well with them, and we was quite pleased to see them, promoted back to the Premier League. In all honesty, um, you know, it's like, do you want Leeds, which is, the
No.
worst of the worst, or do you want Southampton? It was like, yeah, I'd really like, our local rivals back. So, yeah, this is the friendliest derby that you'll probably find.
Well, there you go. That is why it is. It's great, and yes, I'd rather have Southampton up than would Leeds because the best team in the Championship deserve to stay there if they're so
Oh
good.
yeah, most definitely.
Um,
In fact, they make out that they're the best team in the world, Brad. And
I know it's
if they're the best team
ridiculous.
in the world, surely they can win things from the championship whilst helping other clubs out. They don't need the money after all.
Yeah,
You
of
know,
course, you would think
yeah, they're
such a
just
thing. I
yeah
mean, if
they think.
I mean, they're the greatest team in the Championship. Well, Leicester. Sorry, I said that because we're on a Leicester channel, obviously. Um, Australia are obviously the greatest one day side in the world because they have just lost to England by 186 runs. Just want to
There
throw
you
that out
go.
there for cricket connoisseurs out there that like it. Happy birthday to LCFC. Is it LCFC? There's a lot of people with the same names here. Have you changed from LCFC Grey or are you just LCFC a different person? Just want to clarify it is because I've gone to call you a few times when you've been on the stream, and I'm just not sure because I think he might have changed his name. But happy birthday to you, mate. Hope you have a good one. Um, I don't see us getting anything from Arsenal. We're gonna talk about that game after we give our predictions to this one, but who
Mhm.
knows? Who knows indeed what we're going to do? Anthony has gone for a friendly draw between the
Oh
pair of you.
no, Anthony! No, 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 no. Even
Craig,
though, yeah, there we
it
are.
must be the name Craig because he's gone for a
Exactly.
1-0 Bournemouth win. John has also gone for a 2-1 win to Bournemouth. And just making sure, mate, because sometimes people tweet their names, and his was obviously LCFC Grey was sort of similar. He had the heart and the foxes on his name as well. So just want to make sure. But happy birthday, nonetheless, to you. Well, they say Christmas comes early. Chris has got an affectionate spot for Bournemouth, living down
Yeah,
there, gone to a few games. So no surprises that Chris went for a 1-0 Bournemouth win.
excellent. We won't deport him from Bournemouth then.
We
Um,
won't. You won't. You won't deport. You won't be. You won't be deporting LCFC. He's gone 2-1 Bournemouth win.
excellent. Good stuff. Good stuff. Do you know what? I like you, Leicester fans. I don't know what Anthony's going on about 1-1. Even
I
though,
don't know what he's
it,
going about.
as much as we. Right, I'm going to upset Southampton fans now. As much as we are happy that they're back in the Premier League, let's be honest. Let's cut through it. They're not very good. They are
No,
shit, put nicely. They are poor from what I have seen.
they
Russell
haven't been
Martin,
brilliant.
no, Russell Martin has got a massive job on his hands. And you know what you said about Ipswich, out of the three teams that come up. I disagree with that. I think Southampton are the weakest. I just I just can't see them staying up, even with the signings that they've made. I have gone for a 3-0 Bournemouth win. It's not just because I'm a Bournemouth fan, but I just think that I just can't see Saints staying up, which will be a shame. Which will be a shame, but I just think they're doomed. The manner it really showed. They was 1-0 up against Ipswich last weekend, and then they conceded right at the end. That's not a team that's confident. That's a game that they need to be winning. It's a game that Ipswich need to be winning as well. But the Saints, I'm so sorry. I just can't see them staying up.
No, and sadly, I have to agree with you because I don't have no nothing against Southampton.
Yeah,
And again, I didn't want them to come up because I thought they'll go straight back down. Because I think Leeds would have as well. I really think they would have. I think they'd have overhyped it. They'd have prematured themselves everywhere
they would
before.
have thought they would have gone to the Champions League. They would have.
Oh yeah, of course they would have. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
They'd have made the pitch look like it snowed
Oh
before the
gosh,
opening game of
yeah,
the season.
definitely.
But are you sure you love Leicester fans? Because you haven't had my prediction yet.
Go on.
Southampton 2. Bournemouth 3.
Yes,
Yeah,
get it.
yeah.
There we
go
are.
for a second.
Do you know what? Do you know what? What would be funny is if they did go 2-0 up, and there I was having a rant at half time at Dean Court, and then we win 3-2. That would make my day because it is a friendly rivalry. It's great to see him back, but that doesn't mean that I don't want to actually thrash them just for South Coast bragging rights. So, yeah, nothing against them. Happy that they're here, but when they come up against us, as long as they're getting a thrashing, and at the end of the day, they'll still get 6 points against Everton, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, they'll at least get some, and they'll get a token gesture to take away with them.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of thrashings, for once I'm dreading talking about this game. We're going to talk potential thrashings and scoreline predictions, but we're going to do it right after these commercial breaks.
The TalkSport Fan Network is the ultimate on-demand destination for the UK's best fan-led football podcasts,
including Leicester Till I Die, independent analysis and reaction for the Foxes faithful.
The TalkSport Fan Network,
unbeatable club-dedicated content created by the fans for the fans.
Follow the podcast on the TalkSport Fan Network.
Hello, Matt Elliott here.
Hi, Alan Smith here.
Hey guys, Ian Hume here.
Hi everybody, Jerry Taggart here.
Be sure to watch
Chris and Leicester Till I Die TV
for all the latest Leicester City news and information.
You can also subscribe on YouTube and various social media channels
for the latest updates and news on Leicester City Football Club.
Come on, you foxes!
Subscribe to our YouTube channel now and make sure you never miss another upload. Leave a like now. Ring the bell and never miss another video.
Yes, if you could all do that lovely support to this channel, that would be great. As Craig is older, I don't know if the link to your channel is available, but please go check out Craig's channel. Up the cherries in all departments. As you can see there, it is UTCIAD for short.
Yep, you shall find it if you type that in.
You shall find it if you type that in. It's the easiest one to find because it's such a unique brand.
Do you know what? That's the great thing about it. That's the great thing about it because let's be honest, if it was something like Cherry Talk or something.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. You'd find a lot of them.
Yeah, cherry pickers, you'll find a load of bloody trucks and things like that. UTCIAD, nobody's bloody mental enough to have, an abbreviation like that apart from me.
That is very true. It's very on point for someone like you, Craig.
Yes.
Now, something that is a little bit on point is there's no getting away from it. Arsenal versus Leicester City. Now, we've mentioned this a few times with a few other teams. Is this a chance that alarm bells start ringing? Do we start hearing the away fans shouting this to the manager?
But tonight is the night it is going down.
3 points,
Mm-hmm.
4 points dropped against Palace away and Everton at home. Arsenal juggernauts looking to take the title off Man City through fair means or unfair means, or fair means you may think with points deduction. Normally, Leicester fans, we go for our team no matter what the case is. I am not going to go for that. I'm not going to be putting that out there. Spoiler alert. How bad's it going to be, Craig? How bad's this going to be? Is there a way Leicester could come out of this game with a bad result but a positive outlook?
And I think you will do that. I think, I think you are more than capable of staying in the Premier League. I honestly do. I really do, mate. Arsenal, the way I look at
don't believe it.
the way
More
I look,
faith from a ball. Do you want to swap shirts, mate? Do you want to swap shirts? I think you've got more belief than all of Leicester fans.
Do you know what? Chris will probably buy me one. Stick this on. I probably will do as well. But yeah, personally, although saying that, wouldn't it be funny if Chris was in a Cherries shirt? There we are. There's a thought.
No, end of
Have a
season bet.
shirt
There you
swatch.
go.
There we are. Shirt swap. I think personally, I think you'll put up a decent enough showing. However, you're not going to get thumped. But Arsenal, Liverpool, Man City, they're bonus games. You could put,
Don't
Chelsea
say bonus
Spurs.
games. Don't say bonus games. Steve Cooper has expressed it in his pre-match conference. He is against the term bonus games and throwaways.
Well, they
He
are.
hates that term.
They
He wants
are.
I know, fans' perspective, they are, aren't they? Let's face
Yeah.
it, it's a bonus game. If we
Yeah.
do anything against Arsenal other than get beat, it is a bonus.
The game
for
that
us.
Steve Cooper should be focusing on is the game between us the following weekend. Because that is a game that Leicester can get something from. It is a game, and I'm not saying that we're a bad side. I'm not saying Leicester are a bad side, but it's a game between two teams that are in that same boat. We're not going to be, I hope that we're not going to be in any threat of relegation, but that's not a given. Likewise, you'll probably think the same yourself. Whereas we know that Arsenal, are they going to be thinking about relegation? Of course they're fucking not. They're going to be thinking, well, we're going to go for the title. So, yeah, personally, you've got to beat the teams around you, and yeah, I
Because
think
they're ultimately what do keep you up, aren't they? It's all well and good getting a bonus point against a Spurs or a shock win against someone like a Villa or a Brighton at the top half. But if you don't, and it's what normally costs teams that do go down, is they get them sort of results, but they just drop points around.
I'm going to bring back some horrible memories now.
Oh, why?
Yeah, sorry. And the result last week against Everton, the 1-1 draw. I know that you're probably frustrated about it. I was thinking that you would kick on, but if you go back to the season where you were relegated, there was that game where Leicester were in control and Everton somehow managed to get a draw. Now, if Leicester had held on, you would have stayed up regardless of because we were on the fucking beach that day against Everton, and I was furious about it. I was absolutely furious about that. That we just put our sandals up and let Everton just walk all over us at Goodison. Is embarrassing in the end.
Well, it still took them to late on to kill us, didn't it? Really, as well.
Yeah, it did. But the thing is that point that you got against Everton, making sure that they don't get the 3 could be the difference at the end of the season. This game against Arsenal, you're not taking points off Arsenal. Taking points off Everton will affect that relegation picture at the end of the season, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think I've gone for a 2-0 Arsenal win. Like I say, I don't think it's going to be a thrashing. I can't see. It would be a brilliant result. Absolutely, I'd be delighted for you if you get 3 points
Yeah.
from the Emirates. If you get a point, it's a fantastic result. I just can't see it, mate. I'm sorry.
Well, don't worry. This is one of them games. I think like your Man Cities,
Yeah.
your Arsenals, probably even your Chelsea's to a degree, and maybe your Man United. Although it depends our form. I think our form's pivotal against certain teams. If we go into it against Chelsea at home and Man U at home, who knows? But more times than not, you're going to back them to win it, and I get that.
Yeah.
Hansley, no shocks here. Has gone 4-1. Craig has gone for a shock 2 on Fox's win, which it would be. Definitely would be. Scott's gone 2-1 to Arsenal, and I would take that right now. Something that kind of gives you a positive to go out and say, you know what, we gave these a real good go. We've proven we can do this. John's gone 3-1 Arsenal. And no, they are different people. He's gone, Craig is at you, asking if it's you that's typed the 2
No. I just think, if you get results against Wolves, you get results against Ipswich, you get results against Southampton.
Yeah.
Those are the games. You get a result against us. Those are the games that are going to affect the picture. Brentford's another one. Crystal Palace, you could say, is another one. West Ham look like they could be in the mix as well.
Yeah.
Forest. There's so many teams down there,
Yeah.
or could be down there. And like I say, I'll give you my 3 to go down because I think
Save it till afterwards, because we're going to do that in a bit. We'll do that straight after this. Scott, if Winks and Skip both play on the same pitch, this is going to be 5-6-0. Because it's like Mendy and Samari being on the same team for us a few seasons ago. It just doesn't work. Play one or the other. And to be honest with you, either of them will do for me, but not both. Scott says he wants whatever you're drinking, Craig, if he thinks Leicester are not going to be in a relegation battle. He didn't say they're not going to be in a relegation battle. He just said that he doesn't think we're going to be one of them teams that goes down, which bodes well for his bottom 3 predictions. Watch him go and put Leicester in there now. I will be honest with you.
Yeah.
I fear a thumping. And I do. And I don't think it's because we're terrible or anything like that. I just feel like this is going to be a game where if Arsenal score early, the wheels are going to come off and we're going to have a real bad day at the office. And we haven't had, this is going to sound crazy given the frustration of the fans, we haven't had a 90-minute disaster yet. Well, we've been completely out of any game. We've always found a way to get ourselves back in the game or be in the game to the end. And then I remembered something. I remembered that Jamie Vardy has a very good record against Arsenal. In fact, I believe, I could be wrong here, someone willingly correct me in the comments, I believe against top 6, whatever that list is these days, against top 6 clubs, Jamie Vardy has scored most goals against Arsenal out of all of them. I think it's something ridiculous of like 11, it's like 9 goals in 11 games against them or something like that. He's got a very good record against Arsenal, a scary record against Arsenal. Now, admittedly, they've come in 5-2 defeats, 4-3 defeats, and I think his goal a couple of seasons ago came in our first win at the Emirates in a long, long time, 70-odd years, I think it was, something ridiculous like that. We've won away at Arsenal. So I don't see one of them sort of results happening. I think I remember it was Cengiz Under got the assist, and we nicked it 1-0. So I've gone Vardy to score, and unfortunately, it's about as positive as I've gone for it. Because that's the only reason I gave us a goal. Because I was going to go 3-0.
Yeah.
See Vardy scoring, maybe giving us a shock lead, and then Arsenal just being too much for us, or because I can't see it being a consolation. Because I'd imagine Vardy comes off and Edward Daka 2.0, as I call him, comes on, or someone like that. Because it won't be Ayew, because he thinks Ayew's a 22-year-old winger. I think he's not looked at his birth certificate properly. Look, I don't mind Ayew. I honestly don't. I've always have to say this.
Yeah.
You know, he's a striker, though. He's a 32-year-old striker, not a 32-year-old winger. I think it's him that needs to be rotating with Vardy for the start and Edward coming off the bench. You know, got an okay front three there. So that I have gone 3-1 Leicester. I normally never back against us. I normally on a game like this, I go, no, we'll somehow nick a draw, but I can't. And I want to win the league. I do. I want to win the predictions league. So I've gone 3-1 to Arsenal, and Chris has gone 3-0 to Arsenal. A late prediction, as I say that, I would take that. Arsenal, Leicester, he's gone 1-1. I would
That
definitely
would be a
take
good
that.
result. That'd be a really good result.
I'm playing FIFA 25 Arsenal versus Leicester. Latest score 6-1 Arsenal. Don't play it on easy mode then, mate. Make it a challenge. And all I will say is I will never ever buy another EA game, FIFA game, whatever the title is. I got sick of pay to win on the Ultimate Team mode because career mode's naff. Pro clubs never gets looked at, and career mode is just yeah. But I stopped playing FIFA after FIFA 21. That was enough for me. I'm not the greatest on it either, but I wasn't trying to sweat my knackers off to not spend any money on it because I don't. Why should I spend money on it? You're paying £70 for a game. Why should you then have to spend? And you do. This is my biggest pet peeve of it because it's the biggest game mode on their Ultimate Team. You spend hundreds, if not thousands, of pounds throughout the year on packs.
Do you know what? I've never played Ultimate Team.
Don't do it, mate.
I always play career mode, and what I will do is I will take somebody shit, in League Two and try and drive them into the Premier League.
You know what you'd be better off doing, mate? God's honest truth, and you've got time to think about it because there's a delay on this one. Football Manager on the console version. It's watered down, granted, because it's a console, not on a PC, but it is still very in depth considering the version you get. Now, obviously, because they've swapped engines on on the system they're running it off, it's not Sports Interactive this year. They've delayed the launch of the Football Manager 25, but you're living in Fantasyland because he can't even count 7, let alone score 7 in a game. I would recommend, and this goes to anybody, if you're getting sick of FIFA and you predominantly play it to be a manager that goes lower league to the top. If you watch YouTube, you probably know series like Park to Prem or Bottom from Basement to the Top, whatever, them sort of cliche names. I love watching them sort of things, and I've got into them, and I do it on a regular basis. I actually, because of Football Manager, are doing it, and this is a God's honest true story. It's a Brad rant special. Well, not a Brad rant, a Brad story time for you. I actually now, because of my information to want to do something like that, I now casually keep an eye on regularly on Sutton United results because I took them from the Vanarama conference about FIFA Football Manager 22, maybe 20 sort of era, and I kept picking them. Me and my mate would go to the lowest division available on the game. He had it on PC. Now you get the same options on the console, so it's not like you wouldn't get that option. But we went to like the Vanarama South, I believe they're in, maybe North. I failed geography, so I don't really care. Anyway, he picked Ebbsfleet, I picked Sutton, and every year when a new game come out, we'd take the same approach. And obviously, Sutton have just been relegated back to the National League this season. They're doing very well. I'm not entirely sure on the league position, but they're winning games. They're favourites to go straight back up because they were doing quite well in League Two until this season. So I do have a soft spot for Sutton United. I keep an eye on their results. I kind of if I see Sutton winning on the But I highly recommend, if you're not into Ultimate Team and you're just spending £70, and especially if you've got Xbox, because it's free on the Game Pass, a bit like Call of Duty is this year, which I'm buzzing for, because I have hated this one, but I loved Black Ops 6 beta we had. Anyway, going off on a tangent, that's what I recommend for you, mate. It's cheaper on the console. I'm not sure if it's on the PlayStation market, if you've got a PlayStation, but if you've got Xbox, you obviously have Game Pass, because these days it's just easier to have Game Pass than it is to do your through
games and
my thing for you would be get the console version. it's less complicated, I'd say. It's not as in depth with your staff and that. But in terms of getting attributes and seeing it how it does in the games, if you know Football Manager, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't, it's basically ratings out of 20 for each sort of attribute they can have, like passing, flair, and whatnot. I highly recommend it because, like I say, on the Xbox, it's free. It's cheaper on the console anyway. And it's a much better game than FIFA. And you can't pay to win it. You cannot pay to win it because it's generated from data, and this is actually what some managers use to scout players. Brighton, and weirdly for a time, this all came about because Dennis Wise, Wanger, I'll say it for us all, don't worry. He used to use YouTube videos to go and buy players when he was a manager. And then I think it was actually Brentford used the same moderation. So Premier League clubs are using the data provided by Football Manager to go and look at potential raw talents that they can find for cheap.
Well,
so that's a gaming plug.
Back in
you want to
back in
sponsor?
the days of FIFA 10, this is FIFA 10, on the old PS3. I took Aldershot Town from League 2 all the way to the Champions League places. Admittedly, I'd never won any, I'd never won the top division with them, but I thought that was some achievement because, let's be honest, it was so difficult. It was so difficult towards the end of that, and then I'll tell you what does happen. I think it's after 20 years, you basically just die. Your manager just dies, and it's just like, it's just
It
stopped.
does, doesn't it? There was a
Yeah,
thing where
and it's like, oh
you get
shit,
you get an email, but it's
I'm
actually like
dead.
addressed to your wife or something, or your next of
Yeah,
kin, saying that
yeah,
you just got hit by a bus.
oh, yeah,
Dream Team, remember that show, Dream Team? Like you had a
yeah.
Hard United moment, don't you? I mean, Scott says it here. I've taken a huge liking to Dorking Wanderers and their story, etc. Hence why he goes for on games like Football Manager. I go for Dorking. Again, it's a great reason to connect with your grassroots football. I really understand the game of football because you do in them divisions as well. You forget. I'm a big follower of #United. The social media
Oh
team that
yes,
started up as
yeah,
in
I
the
know the
league.
one.
Yeah, they've played on BBC in the FA Cup before. Again, that's a decent version of Football Manager. If you want a completely free one, a mobile is your way. That's a good recommendation.
Yeah.
And I will actually say for mobile, I would actually go for something like that because the Football Manager mobile is still good, but it's not as good as the PC or gaming version. And I think it's like they do charge you £8.99, which I don't think is right. I think something like that should be free and available. Anyway, but yeah, I love them sort of journeys, and you realise that these teams, Man City want to go on strike because they play 2 games a week. These guys play 2 games 48 hours apart. These teams could have games where they're playing on a Thursday because they've had to fixture rearrange and they're away from home. It's a 2-hour journey on these players aren't flying there. They're driving up the motorway or down the motorway. They're getting coaches. Some clubs don't have the luxury of that, so they're all driving. They're all finishing work at 5 o'clock, making the game for 7:30, and then they're going home. They're resting on Friday and playing on the Saturday. So honestly, go and get yourself. Next weekend, when we're getting bored to death of international football, especially if you've got young lads and girls that like football as well, you've got kids that want to go, take them to your local club that doesn't stop for internationals. And I implore you to kind of really go to the grassroots of football.
Old Town is the local one for me, and nice little club actually. Very, very nice little club.
There you go. Yeah. We've preached to the choir, and we're going to see if they decide to do it. Craig, obviously, poor Doug was too ill to come on tonight's show, but you've been an admirable replacement for him. Thank you very much.
That's all right. Not a problem at all. Not a problem at all. Always a pleasure, Brad.
Yeah, you're always welcome on this channel. Because you've managed to keep you down to 2 hours. Without
Just underneath, isn't it?
Yeah, I know that.
We just chat shit for another 20 minutes.
No. These fans have got to go to bed. These loyal supporters of this channel, they've got a life to live. It's the weekend. Let them go.
Yeah,
Free our
fair
people, as they would say.
enough.
But no, Craig, just quickly, because obviously
Yeah.
these have all been set up in advance. So unfortunately, your link usually would be, but it's not down in the description at this moment in time. I don't know if maybe when Chris is back, he'll go back and add them to it because people
Yeah.
do watch these shows weeks after they've happened, even though they know the results. Just
Exactly.
tell everybody all your socials to where they can find you, mate.
So you can find us on UTC IAD AFCB. That's the same username on Twitter, on Facebook. We've got a Facebook group, so go join that. Instagram, also, of course, the YouTube channel as well. Like I say, we've had lots of special guests. Harry Redknapp's been on there, so he did his season preview show, a normal one. We've had, some really special Leicester fans in the past, including Chris as well. I just can't leave Chris out. Plus, we've had loads more as well. We had Omid Jalili, the comedian, Tiff Nadell, of course, formerly of Top Gear, Matt Letizier. I'm trying to think of who else we've had. Richie Neville from Five. Did you used to like Five?
Not for me.
No,
Oh, yeah, and I haven't I had forgotten, I'm not gonna lie. Anthony, I've got a question from you.
Go on.
Bristol City stopped for international. Yeah, but we don't care about them. Shame about Colville Town folding as
Yeah,
his
that
slogan.
is.
Yeah, it is. It is a shame.
Yeah.
I did style your question, Anthony. Before we do that, I'm just going to make Anthony wait for his question. Quick fire here. I'm going to say we're going to go from bottom to the top. I want them in order. So get your thinking cap on. I will let you go first here. 20th place. I'm saying Southampton.
Southampton. I agree.
Southampton. 18th. I
19th first.
19th. 19th. Yeah.
19th.
I've gone crazy. 19th.
19th is going to be Wolves.
See, I know you said Wolves there, and this is scary because I'm going off current form here. I'm also going Wolves.
Bloody hell. Right, 18th
So,
spot. You go first.
Who is in that trap door? You know what? I'm going to switch mine. I'm going to switch mine. And there's not an echo. I've just said it 3 times. 18th is going to be Wolves. Because my pick for 19th is Everton.
Oh.
I have Ipswich staying up with us, Southampton going down, Wolves and Everton. So my order is Wolves 18th, Ipswich 19th, Everton 19th, Southampton rock bottom. Who is your team that's just not cutting the mustard?
Just so everybody doesn't think that we're just copying each other and have, done this as some sort of pact, I have actually written mine down, and scarily,
There you go, folks. We've got the same 3 in mind. I changed my
yes.
order last minute because I actually think Everton will be worse than Wolves. I do see Wolves going on a little bit of a run, a purple patch, but I don't see it being enough for them this season.
Let's do 17th and 16th. So 17th, who's going to narrowly survive?
Ipswich.
Yeah, I was going to say the same. Ipswich. 16th?
Leicester.
Do you know what? We know each other too well. So
You
apart from
do,
Wolves and Everton, round the other way, we've got it spot on. So there you go.
There you go. There's the survival of the fittest going on there. Yeah, I just think we'll do a bit more than Ipswich, but I can see them staying up. I know I've given them a thumping this weekend, but I do think they'll do more. Answer's question to you, because we can't get the actual James Corden on this show. I don't think people would want him on either, really. He's a very Marmite character, isn't he? What is it like without Solanke? Is it going to be a good season for Bournemouth? I'm going to quickly say, I don't think you'll actually miss Solanke too terrible. I really don't. I said this earlier in the show, and I'm standing by what I said. And I think you'll have an okay season. I don't think it will reach the hype that's around your manager that people were early doors predicting before a ball was kicked, but I think you'll do okay. You maybe even get top half. That's what I'll say. But you're the Bournemouth man. He asked that to you. I've given him a 2 pence worth. You give him the full £1. That's what she said.
I think we'll finish 10th. So slight improvement. Will that be enough for Bill Foley? I think Bill Foley has got in mind that he wants European football sooner rather than later. I don't think he'll get it this time round. I think it would be stupid to get it this time round because the thing is like Wolves, you know, I don't. Although we've got a lot better strength in depth, we haven't got the strength in depth that you need to go into that sort of competition, and you know, be able to play Thursday, Sunday. We haven't got that strength. I think, you know, 10th will be realistic. Are we missing Solanke at the moment? Yes, most definitely. Like I say, you know, if he was playing against Chelsea like he did last season, forget what he's done for Spurs, I think we would have beaten Chelsea last weekend.
I think we would have as well on a better day.
I think the biggest problem for me at the moment is our striking department. Evan Nielsen, 40 million, ridiculous amount of money for this football club to spend on a striker. I just don't think at this. I'm worried because it's a hell of a lot for this football club, and he looks devoid of confidence. How he walked up to that penalty, it was well placed penalty. It was just the actual speed and the strength behind it. He didn't look confident. You know, he won the penalty. He looks like he's got a lot of skill and a lot of pace, but there's something missing. So if he can turn it round, you know, and he's got a great goal scoring record wherever he's been. If he can turn it round and show that he can do it in the Premier League instead of, you know, the Portuguese league, which, let's be honest, is a lot, you know, lower standard, I think we'll be okay. But yeah, I think we are missing Solanke as it stands. I think, yeah, as it stands. We've also got NSU now in the background. I think he's a decent striker. What I would go with at this moment in time, and I hate to say this because this is what we did against Forest, and it takes Semenyo. I've got a bit of a man crush on Semenyo. I love the man. He's just quality. He's just quality. Somebody will take him off us sooner rather than later. But if we take Semenyo out of his normal position, put him up front, yeah, he'll score goals. But it's how quickly he gets up there. He's just so effective where he normally is. So, yeah, we're missing Solanke.
Yeah, again, I don't think you're going to miss him for long. But I do think you'll have a good season. Craig, thank you again very much for coming on here.
Not a problem. My pleasure, as always,
we
Brad.
nearly made the 2-hour mark, but I think we'll keep everybody in suspense for that one. We'll let them go so they can go and enjoy their weekend. Craig, good luck in your game at the
Cheers,
weekend.
mate. Thank you.
I hope you come away the winner in the derby. And until the next time, thank you for everybody for tuning in. If you're still around for whatever reason, please make sure you hit the like button on your way out. And do remember, guys, me and Chris are both away this weekend, so there is no watch along, which might be a good thing. Knowing our luck, I'm trying to reverse psychology it into existence here. It might be a good thing because we're playing Arsenal away. But thanks everybody for joining. I've been Brad. It's been Craig. We've been Leicester Till I Die. See you next time.
You watch it win it now.
Yeah, watch it happen.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching. These videos are tremendous. You better like them too, or I'll be back.
This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network. TalkSport. Powered by fans.
That will conclude this evening's entertainment.